Hello humans, it's just Martine and welcome to another Dollar Tree haul. Today is a really exciting Dollar Tree haul because it's just science fiction books. One of the times when I went to the Dollar Tree recently, there were a ton of science fiction options. A lot of them were sequels and such, so I weeded through to find the best options for me, and I ended up with these 5 reads that I'm going to share with you today. Make sure you stay tuned until the end to see exactly how much I saved by shopping at the Dollar Tree for my reads. I will say though that the amount that I saved is a little less than usual because only one of these today is a hardcover book. The rest were paperback, which are typically cheaper than hardcover. So I didn't save quite as much money as say my last Dollar Tree haul. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out now. But I'm still very pleased with the things that I got. So let's jump right into it. The first book that I picked up is called Light Years and it's by Cass Morgan. Cass Morgan is the same author who wrote The 100, which I haven't read, but got turned into a very famous television show. I didn't know that she had any other work out. Sorry that I'm hitting you with all this light from Light Years. It does have a shiny hardcover, which is not my favorite type of hardcover. I do prefer matte, but I still think it's a pretty cool design on the front with the characters. It seems to revolve around 4 main characters, each of whom wants a different thing, and it's specifically about a space fleet academy. I love academy settings in books, so I was really intrigued to see this one had that same type of setting. Each of the main characters has a different goal while they're at the fleet academy, but their stories seem to converge in some way. This was published in 2018 and was originally sold for $17.99. Moving right along, the second book that I picked up is called New Pompeii and it's by Daniel Godfrey. One of the reviews on the back says that this is one of those rare science fiction books that reads like a thriller, and those are always my favorite types of science fiction books. So I immediately knew that I had to have it. Also, I felt like the cover was pretty cool. And this book appears to be about this company who has stumbled upon this very lucrative and yet morally gray technology in which they can pull matter through from the past. And I think they have like a replica of Pompeii or something they're pulling through time. The main character of this book gets assigned to this placement and he's not exactly sure what to expect, but apparently weird things happened with his predecessor. It also says that this is for fans of the types of books written by Michael Crichton, the one who wrote Jurassic Park. And I've read one of his books before and I really enjoyed it, so I'm pretty excited to get into this one. And this book was published in 2016 and was originally sold for $14.99. You might be able to see that it was $7.99 in pounds, but it did say that it was $14.95. Next, I have The Lost Puzzler, and this is by Yael, who is a classical violinist and who was born in Israel. This book appears to be about this man who has to go outside the confines of the city of Towers, which is a city that has been reconstructed over the bones of an old city following the near extinction of the human race. And the main character of this book appears to have to leave the city in order to find this missing child of some kind, but the child disappeared over a decade before. The missing child was very important because he had the powers necessary to help rebuild civilization as it once was. So he goes looking for this kid, and I assume that tremendous and crazy things ensue thereafter. Top line on the back says, "There's a world full of puzzles. Some will simply challenge the mind, others will unlock riches. And some, well, not all puzzles are games." It seemed interesting to me. I love the feeling of this book in my hand. Like, I don't know, it just feels like a nice, solid paperback. It is kind of a chunkier one. It's over 500 pages, so that is a bit intimidating, but I'm still super excited for this. It was originally published in 2019 and sold for $16.95. This next find was a huge one for me because it's actually a signed first edition copy. And this book is called Metropage. It's by Richard Cade. There's the signature right there. And I believe this is actually a reprint because this was originally published in like 1988 and then in 2014 it got like a revamp, hence this book, which is also a like delightfully floppy paperback. It's a classical, like modern classic dystopian sci-fi tale that's described as like cyberpunk in nature, which is pretty cool. And this is a special signed collectible edition of it is what they're calling it on the back, which is awesome that I got it for $1. Like, that's so cool. This seems to be about a very segregated society with different levels of class. A man who sells drugs, and then a plague like sweeps the nation. There's a lot going on the back of this book. All of it seems pretty intriguing though. So it's a plague story. It's about a drug seller. He deals in narcotics and it's set in like late 21st century LA. So that seems like a pretty cool time. And again, cool that I found a signed copy of a book at the Dollar Tree. That's happened a few times before. Last but certainly not least, we have another modern classic in the sci-fi genre, originally published in 1984, and this edition originally sold for $8.99. And it's this really cool bright green copy of Neuromancer by William Gibson. And this was already on my library wish list, but to see that they had like it available at the Dollar Tree was kind of crazy. And again, I really love the cover, like the bright green of it. I think it's really unique. If you haven't heard about this book, it's basically about this data thief who tripped up somewhere along the way and was basically cast out of cyberspace, but now has a new employer and is ready to go on a whole new series of adventures and deal with all of what that entails. This book is touted as being one of the first real glimpses, like the fully realized picture of how technology would shape humankind in the future. So I'm really intrigued to see what it has to say. And this was very casually on my radar, but I didn't realize until I picked it up and like looked at this and purchased it that it had been. So I'm really excited to add this to my collection now. Again, this plus the signed edition of Metropage are like two really cool and specific finds. And I think one of the things that I like best about shopping at the Dollar Tree is you literally never know what kind of thing that you're going to get. And there's always the possibility to get cool books by either like popular authors or ones that are modern classics or signed editions of books. You just have no idea, and you have to go in with an open mind, frequently on the hunt for something cool, and be willing to pick up every book that catches your eye and just kind of see if it would be something that you'd enjoy. With all that being said, time for the most exciting part of the video where I tell you how much I saved. So for these 5 books, I paid about $5, a couple cents in change for tax, but originally they're worth together when you added up their original selling price, $73.87, which means that I saved approximately $68.87, which again is not as much as my last haul. So if you want to see some major savings, there was an almost entirely hardcover book Dollar Tree haul that I did recently where my savings were insane, but I thought for a science fiction haul in general, this was so good. And again, these two in particular, I'm really pleased with adding to my collection, and I'm excited to read all of these. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below which of these seems most interesting to you, or which would you be most excited to find for $1. And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!